Okay, so picture this. You've spent months, maybe even a year, planning the perfect high-end home theater.
Mm-hmm. The dream setup.
Exactly. You've got the huge 4K screen, the best console, the whole surround sound system. You run all the cabling through the walls to keep it clean. You plug everything in, hit the power button, and
And nothing. A black screen.
or worse, you get those, those little digital sparkles, the noise.
Oh, the HDMI handshake of death.
Yeah.
It is, I mean, it's just the absolute worst feeling in the AV world.
It really is. So today we're doing a deep dive into this tiny piece of hardware that's designed to fix exactly that problem. We're looking at the Kramer PT-101H2.
Right. And our mission today is to sort of unpack how a device that's smaller than a deck of cards can make sure a heavy 4K signal survives a long trip down a cable without, falling apart.
And we're pulling all our info for this directly from the product data over at HDTV Supply.
Yeah.
So let's start there. Why does this even happen? Why do perfectly good cables just fail when they get too long?
It's really just a physics problem. Signal degradation.
Yeah.
As that digital signal travels down a copper wire, you've got resistance, and it just eats away at the signal's strength.
Okay.
So by the time it gets to the display, the TV literally can't tell the ones from the zeros. It's all just noise.
And that's where this Kramer device comes in. It's listed as a repeater, but when you look at the specs, it seems like it's doing a lot more than just repeating a signal.
That's the key. A cheap, passive coupler, that's like just taping two garden hoses together. If the pressure is low coming in, it's going to be low going out.
Right.
But this device, it uses what Kramer calls equalization and reclocking technology.
Reclocking. That sounds pretty technical.
It is, but it's basically a full restoration project for the signal. It's not just boosting the volume. It acts like a little pit stop. It strips away the noise. It completely rebuilds the digital timing. That's the clock. And it realigns the whole data structure.
So the signal comes in all ragged and tired, gets a full spa day, and then leaves totally refreshed.
That is the perfect analogy. And that active processing, that's why the specs say it can do a 33-foot extension. But under the right conditions, you could push the total distance closer to 66 feet.
That is a huge difference, especially if you're trying to route a cable up through a ceiling or across a big room. But let's talk about the quality, because restoring a signal doesn't help if the device itself is a bottleneck.
And this is where the PT-101H2 really separates itself from the bargain bin stuff. It supports full 4K resolution at 60 hertz with 4.4.4 color space.
Okay, let's unpack 4.4.4 for a second. What does that mean for the person watching?
The simple way to think about it is no color compression. A lot of cheaper extenders, they cheat. They compress the color information to save bandwidth, which is why text can look really fuzzy on a computer monitor.
Ah.
This device preserves the full, uncompressed signal. What you put in is what you get out.
And there's another acronym in the specs here that I know is a complete deal breaker if it's missing. HDCP 2.2.
Oh, crucial. Absolutely crucial. HDCP 2.2 is the digital copyright protection. Modern streaming services like Netflix, Disney, plus they all use it. It's a chain of trust.
So your player talks to the repeater, which talks to the TV.
Exactly. And if this little box in the middle doesn't speak HDCP 2.2, the chain is broken. You just get a black screen. End of story.
So it's like a certified diplomat in the middle of the conversation. Now, practically speaking, you mentioned this thing is small.
It's tiny. I mean, it's about 2.4 inches wide and 2 inches deep. You can easily hide it behind a TV or tuck it into an AV rack.
And this is a big but for installers. It is an active device, right? It needs power.
Yes. It comes with an external power adapter, so you can't just, bury this thing inside a wall where you can't get power to it. That's a key thing to remember.
Which makes sense. It needs that energy to do all that signal rebuilding we talked about. Now, looking at the price on HDTV Supply, it's listed around $248. I see a note about a 10% off code, but still, almost $250 isn't pocket change.
It isn't. But you have to look at the context here. HDTV Supply has been around for 25 years. They have a dedicated support line, they call it the Wolfpack support, and a 4.7-star rating. This is pro-grade gear.
So you're not just buying a plastic dongle, you're buying reliability.
Exactly. It's an insurance policy. If you spend thousands of dollars on a projector and a screen, you don't want the whole thing to fail because of a long cable run.
Your image is only as strong as your weakest link.
Or your longest cable. Precisely.
So, before we wrap up, I'm looking at the bigger picture here. HDTV Supply is already listing 8K products on their site.
And that raises a really interesting question for the future.
Right.
We are squeezing a phenomenal amount of data down copper wires right now. As we jump to 8K and whatever comes after 8K, will these copper-based repeaters eventually just hit a wall.
So you're saying we might be forced to switch to something else entirely?
I think we're approaching a future where fiber optics might become the only way to reliably move that much video data across a room.
Wow. Something to chew on next time you're fishing a cable through a wall. Thanks for listening to this deep dive.